back to my channel. Today I have a special guest. This is my husband Miguel, and this is the video that I told you guys in the last video, so it ended up being the next one. So before we really get into the depths of it, a little overview of what's going to happen today. He's here because a lot of you go through the things that we're going through with our spouses, our significant others, our husbands, you know, the dads and whatnot. So this is a video for them. If you want, you can go and grab them. We're going to talk a little bit about their perspective of this whole experience and, you know, how they feel, obviously being a major support to us while also going through all these things. So let's get started. So I have a few questions today, not that many. I think I have six questions that were submitted to me about this topic that the people want to know what your perspective is. Obviously, this is a very serious and sensitive topic. You know, once you heal from it a little bit, you know, it makes it easier to talk about, but it's always just very serious and, you know, very deep for us, obviously, to put ourselves out there, tell you what our feelings are, and, you know, share this with all of you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it. So question number 1, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You sure? Mm-hmm. How do you feel about going through the whole experience of a miscarriage after going through the successful birth of your first child?
I would say it's frustrating, especially after going through everything we did with our daughter, and then just hitting a stopping point of what's happening and just going to appointments and not getting any real answers. It's frustrating.
Do you feel like, is it confusing? Because, you know, we went through kind of an easy pregnancy and it wasn't really a tough thing with our first, you know. She was there, we got pregnant, and it was following through.
It's a little bit confusing, but I know it's a way of life. Things happen sometimes for other reason, and God's the only one who has that answer. So I guess I just believe in God and whatever He's doing, and I just go with it.
I mean, me too. That's really what you can do in this situation, you know. So moving on to question number 2. How has your mentality or mindset been affected by these circumstances?
I'd say it gotten a bit rougher. Been a lot of working in the house kind of thing, keeping my mentality as a go. Just keeping things moving and not stopping on what's going on.
You're trying to like not dwell on the situation. You feel like you try to keep yourself busy and like focus on other things.
Yeah, you just keep moving forward, seeing what's the next step, and just get there and keep pushing until we get what we want.
And, you know, just looking forward to keep trying and just keep going on with that. Okay. Question number 3 is, since the first time it's happened, have you grown hard or cold to the idea of having more children?
I haven't grown cold to the idea of having more children. I think the idea is still warm and close to my heart, but seeing the hardship that has brought in insecurities of the amount of children. But if God blesses with one more, I would just be happy with one more.
I mean, thank God He wants more because I want more. But I get what you mean. You know that I've always wanted like a whole ton of kids, but now I kind of feel the same way. Like at this point with all the loss, it's like, God, if you just give me one more, you know, I'll be happy with that. And, you know, God forbid the situation is, it just doesn't happen. I'll still be extremely grateful for the daughter that we already have, and I'm sure you feel the same way. But I get that, like, you know, you're afraid of like, well, I don't know if we're necessarily gonna get to the number that we originally had planned. So it's a thing. Okay, question number 4. How have you gone about handling the news, or what do you do after finding out? You know, it's been a few times. Have you developed kind of a system? Like, how do you cope with the losses?
Guess the way I cope, make sure that you're good, Sophia's good, and then get a little bit of your work, make sure my work's good. If needed, take some time off. I make sure that all my ends are good so no one can ever say I can't take time off. And then I'm a little bit of a car enthusiast, so like
Very much so. Yeah.
so if I ever needed like a little bit of escape, I'll like wash both our cars and then I'll go for a drive and just drive a couple back roads and just see where it goes and then just drive back home maybe an hour later.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for us. He has done an amazing job of being there for me every single time. I can't imagine doing this with anybody else, and I don't want to get emotional, but it is true. Like, I don't know how I would have possibly gone through all of these things without him, because he's literally been my rock through this whole thing. And I know I probably don't support you nearly as much as you support me, but I try. And I feel like that's for us ladies that are going through this. It's really hard. It's hard for both parties, you know, because they're going through it, but they're trying to just be our rock, be, you know, the person that just is holding us up in the situation. And sometimes, you know, we're just going through it so bad that we like forget to like be there. And I feel like I try to when I do have moments of like, wait a minute, let me just make sure you're good too. But it's probably something, well, you don't really think about it in the moment, you know, you're just going through the pain and the heartache. But it is very important to be there for each other, because it's something that, in my opinion, puts a lot of strain on a relationship. You know, it's very stressful. You know, you put a lot of blame on yourself, then you kind of get closed off because you are grieving, and people grieve in many different ways. And when you have two people, you know, you could be a married couple, you could be very alike. We're both very alike, but in some things we're very different. And I feel like that's one thing that I've learned, that we grieve very differently. And with, you know, the times that it's happened, I've learned that he has his own way, and I can't expect him to react the same way. It doesn't mean that he's not feeling what I'm feeling, but you also have to understand, maybe they don't get how you're grieving. Maybe your grieving is, I don't know, maybe you just want to sit there and not talk to anybody and just close yourself off and just handle it by yourself. Or maybe you're like me and you want to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it until you kind of like get it all out of your system. So that is something to really try to think about. Your spouse and your significant other, maybe they're just grieving in their own way. And even though it's different than me, it doesn't mean that they feel or are hurting any less. But with that, moving on to question number 5, and that is, how do you process your feelings while also consoling your wife during the process of grieving yourself? Which is perfect because it ties in to what we were just talking about.
I would say seeing that family is good gives me a sense of security and happiness, and that in turn helps me. And then if my family's good, then I'm good in a crazy way. So that's why I guess you can say I work hard, make sure that family's taken care of, and I let the rest into God's hand.
So you feel like if you see me just being okay, or at least being better, that makes you feel better about it. He really does. He really does do that. Like, he really is just always, asking me if I'm good, if I need anything, if I want anything, even when I don't want anything or don't need anything. But I do appreciate that. And now for our last and final question, number 6, it is, how do you feel as my husband watching me, go through that whole experience?
I think it's brave that you're not getting discouraged. And I also think it's brave that you're documenting and helping other people that are going through this. You're being an advocate in a sense. And you're inspiring other women to, if they don't know, to seek help and to let them know that they're not alone, which in this day and age is very important, because especially in this quarantine that we're going through, a lot of people have ceased social communication or social activities, and they feel alone. Other people are used to being alone, they're introverts, so I guess this is a way of people can branch out, reach out, and know that they're not alone.
Have like a sense of community, which is like a huge part of why, I'm doing this in the first place. I've talked about it before, and we've gone over the fact that this is a really taboo subject still in our society. It's something that people don't like to talk about. A lot of women, me myself included, have been embarrassed to talk about it because it's like society may look at you like, oh, well, something's wrong with you. That's not what women are supposed to do. Women are supposed to get pregnant and have babies, and that's it. But unfortunately, that's not the case for a lot of us, and that's why I'm doing this. And I want to let you know there's no shame in this. Even though you might feel it, just know that nobody can make you feel less of a woman, less of a person, because you have miscarried. It's something that happens. It's something natural in our bodies that, like the traditional sense, or the most common cause for miscarriages is sometimes, the egg isn't right or the sperm isn't right. And it's your body's natural way of being like, hey, something's wrong. Let me not go through with this. So it is natural and it is okay. And don't let anybody make you feel ashamed. And like you said, raising awareness for this is my biggest motivation, is to talk about it and open the conversation for other people who are going through this, who, especially online, I feel like it's a little bit easier, to maybe comment on somebody's post or send them a DM versus walking into a group of people and having to talk face to face about the situation. And speaking of awareness and other things like that, this video in particular, bringing awareness to the fact that the dads are going through this as well, and their feelings are valid and important, and their mental health and everything is important during this situation. We're the ones physically going through it, and it's, I would say a little bit harder as the mom, since you're like carrying the baby. For dads, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like you really bond, once the pregnancy is progressing, and like especially once the baby is born, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a dad and this is my baby. But for us, at least for like my friends and family that I've talked to, it's like once you're pregnant, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm a mom and your baby, and it's like a little bit different just because they're inside of our body and not your body. But it's very important to talk about these things as well. And like I said, if you think your spouse or husband would benefit from watching this video, maybe just grab a snack, get together on the couch like we do. We watch a lot of YouTube together and watch this video. And if you guys have any more questions, right, you can comment. My Instagram is down below. I'm very interactive on there, so if you guys want to send me a message or anything, that would probably be the best way to do that. But anyway, guys, till next time, see you guys later. Bye.